It begins here for me on this road. Words spoken by Marlon Brando playing Johnny in The Wild one of the quintessential rebellion biker movies. And the Bobber Black really echoes that sentiment and that look. This is a bike that is all about charisma, it's all about authenticity, it's all about that cool look that you really get with those Bob motorcycles. It was really a movement started by the GIs, taking post-war motorcycles and slimming them down and cutting bits off them and making them faster. And this bike really is very evocative of that movement and that look. The funny thing is, the bike actually works really well too.
So the new Bobber Black now comes with this upgraded front end, big fat front tire, and twin Brembo discs on the front. The brakes, the Brembo calipers are still only 2-piston calipers, axially mounted, so they are not radial. But the braking on the Bobber is excellent. Certainly on the standard Bobber there was a little bit of criticism that the brakes were merely adequate, they weren't that powerful. But on the Black they're really improved. They're still not, sharp. They're not sport bike type sharp, but they're really very good. There's not a huge initial bite to start with, which again will please intermediate type riders. Sport bike guys will probably want to upgrade the pads a little bit, but I can't honestly say that the Bobber Black brakes are lacking, because they are absolutely not. They will stop you. And if you have to stop in a hurry, you're going to need a fairly strong squeeze at the lever. But of course, the bike does come with ABS, and it comes standard with ABS. So that is a good thing.
It has the 1200cc Speedmaster twin engine in it. That's a parallel twin motor. It's very torquey, low down. It's got a nice 6-speed gearbox, but frankly, you hardly need the gearbox at all anyway. Put it in a high gear and just let the torque do the work.
So the Bobber Black has a 6-speed gearbox and a digital indicator on the instruments. The gearbox feels smooth. It's a fairly big, heavy gearbox. It's not like a sort of slick shifting sport bike gearbox, but you don't have to do an awful lot of shifting. This motor's got so much torque that you're not constantly having to stir the gearbox, which of course is very nice. So there's nothing wrong with the gearbox, but don't expect it to be, a short shifting sport bike type of thing.
So the bike is really nice to ride, easy, smooth, it's got a nice low seat height, easy feeling brakes, and a gentle power delivery if you want it.
Of course, cruising the Bobber Black around town, this bike is perfect for it. And although road mode is super smooth and really nice, it's in no way an aggressive power delivery. In rain mode, which I'm currently in, you still get full power, but the initial acceleration, the initial power delivery is very gentle. It's really nice. So any kind of slightly less experienced rider who decides that they want to buy a Bobber Black and they're not going to get a smaller machine is going to feel right at home with this. Put it in rain mode, sit back and enjoy the ride.
Of course, when you come back to the real difference between this and the original Bobber that Triumph came out with, it's all about the front end. And we now feature the fat front tire. We now have 47mm Showa fork on it and twin rotors with Brembo axial 2-piston brakes. So that front end really helps with this sort of evocative look of this motorcycle. But the suspension feels really good. It's firm. So although this is definitely not a sport bike, interestingly enough, you can ride it like a sport bike, or certainly a sporting bike.
The handling on this Bobber Black is really neutral. The front end, this big fat front tire, gives you tons of confidence in the front. Feels really planted. The bike doesn't understeer at all when you get on the gas. The suspension is surprisingly firm. Feels fairly sporty suspension. So it's not like this super cushy ride. So the suspension is fairly firm and it feels fairly sporting. It's a fun machine to ride, easy handling, nice and neutral, nice planted front end. So intermediate riders are going to love this bike, even beginners, just because the low seat height means that nobody's going to feel intimidated or feel that this is a big heavy bike, because it does not. It feels light and easy to ride, easy to maneuver. So this really is a great bike to have a look at. And of course, you'll look cool while you're doing it.
The mid controls don't have the best ground clearance in the world, but actually you'd be surprised how far you can lean it over and how hard you can push this bike before it does touch anything down. So overall, this is a really nice, neutral handling motorcycle with a torquey motor that's easy to modulate. There's no big surprises and it works really, really well. Triumph have produced a line of something like 120 different accessories for the bike, and they've been developed at the same time as the motorcycle, so they integrate really nicely. And unlike adding a lot of aftermarket parts, which typically with motorcycles you spend a lot of money and you never really get it back, by adding the Triumph line of accessories, your investment will arguably stand you in good stead when it comes time to sell. The bike is about individuality, making a statement, the charisma and the authenticity of the heritage, dating back to, you know, the McQueen and the Wild One and the Brando and all those cool looking motorcycles of bygone days, except with modern technology and modern riding and all the modern reliability and the fun that you can have with a motorcycle that looks cool but really works well.